Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mlindi Mashologo. I work at the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. So today I will try not to be too long on my presentation. I see it's not moving. Oh, there it is. So the contents of my slide is quite very short today. So we'll just look on the digital inclusion, the introduction, and then we'll look into the current landscape, communication landscape, which is derived from the ICASA reports. And then we'll look onto the determinants for the inclusive economy. And we'll look on what we have developed as a master plan for the digital economy in South Africa, but also the concept of the digital public infrastructure, as well as the digital empowerment and economic, and then what we need to see going ahead. So if we were to look in terms of the definition for the digital inclusion, we see that it's to ensure that every individual, communities, including the most disadvantaged and vulnerable, they do have access to the information and communication technologies, which we call them ICTs. But also, if we're to look on its components, we need to look into, the affordability of the internet access. We need to see that, the society has got the relevant digital skills. But also, in terms of the digital devices, we need to see that there is, the access to those digital devices and at a reasonable cost as well. But also, if you were to look on the importance of it, so we look onto the economic growth. So if we look on digital inclusion, we see that if everybody is included on this type of, economy, then we'll see that there will be job creation, but also there will be, the opportunities for increased productivity as well. But also in terms of, the SMMEs and the entrepreneurs, they will gain access in terms of, the broader markets, but also in terms of the social inclusion. So we need to make sure that we promote equality by bridging the digital divide, but also giving, the marginalized communities access to information, education, and healthcare. But also in terms of, the access to information. So if we were to look, my portfolio is called Information Society, which started, with the Knowledge Society, then going to Information Society, and now we're moving more towards, the Digital Society. So we need to make sure that, the communities, they have got access to that, and also have got access to the government services as well that are online, as well as, the education services. And I think we've seen during COVID that some of the learners that were in the affluent areas were able to access the online education, but if you were to look on the rural areas, they were unable to access, the education. But also, in terms of the quality of life as well, so we need to look into that as well. So this map here, it shows, the national population coverage for the 3G, 4G, and LTE, as well as 5G networks. You will see that, the 3G networks, it's 2022, it was 100%, but that's population coverage, colleagues, that's not geographic coverage. And then 4G or LTE, that would be 98%, but then if we were to look on geographic coverage, that's 84%. And I think that is where we still have got a challenge, colleagues, because, if we were to look in the terms of the penetration of smartphones, you'll find that we might say that we've got over 100% population coverage. But then geographically, if we were to look on the deep rural areas, we'll find that, there are still a lot of gaps that are in there. And if you were to see that, the 5G, we're still sitting at around 38% as of 2023. But also if you were to look in terms of the rural population covered, per province. So I did look into, if you were to look on 5G networks, because we need to make sure that the 5G networks are available, because they are the ones that are going to really assist us in terms of the high capacity broadband, in terms of wireless networks. But you'll see that Eastern Cape is still sitting at 1%, in terms of the 5G coverage. And Free State 4%. And if you were to go to Northern Cape, at the time of this report, there was really nothing in terms of the 5G in the Northern Cape. But I'm hoping that by this time we should have something, because this report was produced last year. So I'm hoping that by this time, at least when we report next year, there will be some, some leverage in there. But also, in terms of the fixed broadband, so this is like fiber to the home, you will see that we're still sitting at about just over 1.4 million connections. And if you were to look on a country like ours, that has got over 60 million in terms of population, so households, that should be around 10 to 12 million households. So that can tell you that we're still far ahead from, making sure that we can achieve, what we want to do in terms of, the fiber to the home or high capacity broadband services. But you will see that, on this slide, it shows that, the DSL subscriptions, they are going down. I'm not sure if there are still people that are using the DSL codecs, but it's still there. There's over 200,000 that are still active on the network. But you'll see that as the DSL is going down, the fiber connectivity is actually going up. But also there are fixed broadband solutions that are coming up as well, which is in terms of the LTE, especially in some of, the urban areas as well, where people don't have access to fiber, then they will resort to, the fixed broadband solutions. So, colleagues, this shows, the landscape of the ICT in the country. I just extrapolated a few points that shows that there is still quite a lot of work that needs to be done. But then, if we were to look then in terms of, the determinants for this inclusive economy that we want to achieve, so there is still a lot that needs to be done in terms of the investment in the high-speed internet networks, as well as, the telecom networks. But also we need to make sure that, we invest in terms of the fiber rollout, as well as the 4G and 5G networks. We've seen quite a lot of, the undersea cables that are coming in that also have got a way of giving us, high capacity in terms of the broadband. But if we don't have the capillary networks that are going into the communities, then those, undersea connectivity, they are not really assisting us that much, because we need to have the coverage inside the country that can then be used, into the, the breakout points, overseas and all that. But also in terms of the affordability, so we need to make sure that the cost of devices as well as the data plans are competitive. Colleagues from the department, we've been working, flat out, with various stakeholders, including the mobile operators as well. We still see that, the 1 gig of data is still sitting at around 70 Rand or 85 Rand, it depends which operator you use. But I think, this cost needs to a little bit go down. But also in terms of, the cost of devices. So we need to make sure that, the devices, they are going down. Because as we are trying to say that let's work as multi-stakeholders to switch off the 2G networks, then you need to have the entry-level, smartphones at a reasonable price as well to make sure that, people can have access, to the technology. But also, I think the other challenge that we're facing is digital literacy. So we need to make sure that, the digital skills are ingrained into our societies as well. But from the policy support, there's quite a lot of regulations and policies that we've got already in the country. But we are working to deliver more as well from the government point of view. From broadband policy, we do have SA Connect, that we are trying to connect, the communities as well as, all those deep rural areas. That we are working with the SMMEs on that one to make sure that we can connect, a variety of stakeholders in terms of our communities. But also the cloud and data policy, it has just been gazetted. This is the work that started from 2021. In terms of the cloud and data policy. So there is a gazetted one now. And also in terms of the digital skills, we do have a strategy that was published in 2020, which is the digital skills strategy, which would like, multi-stakeholders to work with us in terms of, delivering the skills in the country. But also, I think the one that now I'm working on is the national AI policy, which we see, I've seen the previous presentation that was just held here, in terms of the AI and its implications, but both positives and negatives. So that is why now we want to be at the forefront of making sure that the AI is properly regulated in the country. So we are in a process of developing, the national AI policy for South Africa, which I'm hoping that we're gonna have the draft by the end of this financial year, which is March next year. So that is the work that we're currently doing from the government point of view in terms of the support, that we want to do. But also, if we were to look in terms of the master plan that we've developed, which is the Digital Economy Master Plan, so you will see that the digital inclusion, in terms of the critical enablers of the master plan, it's at the top there, which then is followed by the skills for work, as well as responsible governance, as well as innovation and competitiveness. But also, we look onto e-government digitalization. And then in terms of the big bets for the South African markets that we said we want to champion is physical technology production. As well as transformative tech applications, digital platforms, as well as digital traded services. So there's an area that we really want to work with multi-stakeholders to make sure that we can champion these and make sure that South Africa can be competitive out there in terms of the ICT and as well as the digital economy. So that's a work that we want, multi-stakeholders as well. Our colleagues, they are working hard, with multiple partners to make sure that this master plan can be implemented throughout the society. Then I think I need to touch on something, on one initiative that I would really like, to work on as well in terms of, everybody that is around here, with the concept of the digital public infrastructure, which is a term that has been coined by UNDP. So it's getting more recognized, but I mean, it's based on three fundamental principles, that whatever we do in terms of the networking, it needs to be based on open technology standards, but also it needs to be supported by enabling governance frameworks, and also encompasses a community of innovative and competitive market participants who are working together in terms of delivering the public programs. Because remember, colleagues, one of the things is that both the private and the public sector, one of the most important things is to make sure that we deliver services, and the services need to be delivered to everybody, But then if we were to look in terms of its fundamentals as well, so we have to unbundle, to foundational elements. So make sure that, we look on identify the critical elements and we take one step at a time. And also, think of the ecosystem, because one of the things that we picked up is that we sometimes, try to compete amongst each other, whereas we need sometimes to collaborate and make sure that we don't over-invest on one area but under-invest on the other areas. But also we need to make sure that we build only minimal interoperable building blocks. So that is what I've just said now, to say that let's collaborate. Don't try to all go in one area to build the infrastructure. If one build the infrastructure, then let's have a model to share that infrastructure and make sure that we can all benefit from that infrastructure. So those are the fundamental principles of this model of the digital public infrastructure. And I've seen, quite a lot of this working quite well, and we have looked on the other countries that have implemented this thing. If we were to look on what India has done in terms of the digital public infrastructure, especially when they started looking onto the digital ID, which is the Aadhaar platform. So this is a model that also from the South African point of view, we want to adopt, to say that let's work together to a common goal in terms of the digital infrastructure. But also in terms of, the digital empowerment and economic opportunities, I think I did touch a little bit on this one before that. So in terms of job creation and skills development, we know that if we continue, this work of, developing this inclusive economy, so there will be the job opportunities that will be derived from there, but also in terms of the entrepreneurship as well. One of the programs that we are championing as a department is a program called the Digitech Platform, which we are taking, the young entrepreneurs that have developed solutions. We don't want people that will take something and try to resell it. So we want people that can develop something. And we champion by partnering them with big entities, but also creating funding and making sure that they can have access to the markets. So one of our startups that we've incubated, that we work with, has developed an AI solution to detect cancer. So this is a bra that you use, and it uses AI to detect the cancer. And we went with her to India last year on the G20 Digital Economy Summit, and she is now getting, the calls from the European market, from the US and everybody. So that's a work that we do from the department's point of view. So this is a call then from the SMMEs, if there are some, that are here to come, and work with us, and we'll make sure that we can open the markets from you. But we're trying not to say that you're gonna get the government business, but we'll open the markets for you. And I know that that's a very tricky one, we've got the PFMA in government, But also we see that, there will be access to global markets. We see there's quite a rise of the OTT platforms, as well as, the e-commerce platforms. But I must say that, we've been a little bit slow in terms of regulating the e-commerce platforms and the OTT platforms. So this is a work now that we're trying to do to make sure that, they are also regulated, and also, the revenue that is generated in South Africa also, it can be, benefit the South African in terms of the taxes and everything. I know it's a very controversial topic, but it's something that we need to do from the government point of view. But also, if we're to look in terms of the, the marginalized communities, if you look on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG number 10, it looks into that. So that is why then we say that if we work together, we'll be able to work together, from the general, Sustainable Development Goals, to make sure that people do have equitable access, to healthcare, education, as well as economic opportunities. But also, in terms of the support of the public programs, I want to make an example of the digital government and initiatives that we've got. We do have a digital government portal that we've got as a department that we've developed. It's eservices.gov.za. So what we're trying to do there is to make sure that the government is a one-stop shop, whereby whether you apply for an ID, it can be you go to one portal, whether you access education, you go to this one portal. And this is a portal that we want to integrate and make sure that it can be, used by all society, by all citizens. But then if now we are to reach the citizens that are in the rural areas, that's where then I was saying that we need to have these networks in there. We need to have the devices in those areas as well, so that everybody in society can benefit from these. And then as I close, so in terms of the call for action, I think there is a need to look on the emerging technologies. So the 4IR has came with a lot of technologies like your AI, as you have seen the previous speaker talking about the AI. So this is the technology that we are looking into as well, from the government, the IoT, robotics. And we see that these are the technologies that can drive innovation in the country, and we need to harness and make sure that we can use them. But also, if we were to look on 5G technologies, it can bring us, the more faster and more reliable internet connectivity. And some of the challenges that we see ahead is the infrastructure gaps that I talked about, especially in the rural areas, but also in terms of the need for an investment in digital literacy and affordable access. So the call for action for everybody that is in here is that we want to work together between government, private sector, NGO, civil society to collaborate, make sure that we can overcome, the barriers and ensure that the digital inclusion reaches everybody. But also we need to make sure that, the investment in digital skills, training, and affordable technology can be achieved by everybody. Colleagues, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milindi. That was indeed an impactful presentation on the importance of inclusivity. Please, I request everyone to give it a very big round of applause to Milindi.